All right, so yeah, men's finals are over with open. I think the biggest disappointment was Nick Walker. Uh, he thought he was going to win this. He was very, they got him at what, sixth place? With Nick, it's not a something he can fix for tomorrow night. I don't think it's something that he did for this prep. Like we say, big more is not always better, and I think he really pushed it with the gear wise, and you could tell in his we talked about earlier in his face and everything, and so it's very disappointing. I mean, going from thinking you're going to win, a lot of people had Nick winning too, and to be at sixth place. I think it's between Derek and Samson. Um, I picked Derek to win from the beginning, and a lot of people had him at fourth, and some even had him at fifth. I was like, no, Derek's not going to be dropped down that low at all. Samson looks great, the best he's ever looked. He was getting flat towards the end. Um, who we got out? Who we got? Andrew. Andrew looked great, the best he's ever looked. Locked him in the top four. Hottie was flat. This is not a good Hottie we saw. Usually from the front, from the back, that's usually his issue, coming in hard from the back. Uh, but the front, he didn't have that same haughty, freakiness, just a striated chest and abs, just great abs and quad. I mean, he just didn't have that. And I don't think he knew it. Maybe he didn't know it because he was still up there. It looked like he was fighting for it, which you should do. You should do that anyways. But and then you have Martin that looked great. Some people thought by the call out he might be on top. No, it's between uh, Martin and yeah, he'll beat Nick. But Beirut's he's just got to get his quads bigger. He looked great, great upper body. The outer sweep is just not there. But what about you? Yeah,
He's done to himself almost on a biological level so that he
yeah.
can't reverse now. So what does he do? How does he go? Does he just give his body a total rest for a few months? Relax a little bit,
Brother, I've been talking about it for years. I said Nick is gonna burn out, and he's gonna be done. He's gonna be done with the when once you get like that. I don't. You remember Trey Brewer, right? He came on the scene. He's not a top caliber. He wasn't a top caliber pro or anything, but he came on the scene and people thought he was going to be next big thing. He was freaky. He got burnt out by the gear. He took way too much gear, and your body needs breaks. Your organ needs breaks. And some of these people, Nick is one of those guys that has that attitude like, I will do what. I remember when he was, Boston used to troll him all the time. And he would tell Boston, like, Boston, I will do anything it takes to win Mr. Olympia. And when someone says that, that means they will die for to get there if they have died trying. Nick's body's just done with. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he could get that much better than he did before. I think we saw Nick's best, was in the past, and I don't think he can fix what he's done to his body with all the.
kind of downplayed his accolades and everything. But someone like that could win
Yeah, Derek
Olympia.
could. Yeah, Nick could win these other shows as we saw, but if he looks like this, he can. No, he can't. Not like this. This is a really bad. I mean, in comparison to all those other guys, he looked like he was didn't even belong up there. He looked weeks out from a competition,
He looked really off.
and
I almost it looked like
this is a critique that needs to be talked about, and all this stuff needs to be talked about. That a lot of these guys that are emceeing the show or whatever now, or not emceeing it, but all these guys, they're not going to say these obvious things, especially in the IFBB top guys that talk about the gear issue, pushing it too hard. They're not going to say these things that needs to be said, and to give people the actual reality of what goes on in bodybuilding at this top level. I don't think Nick can. It's not something that's it's a water issue. He spilled over. It's not that. It's whatever he did, like you said. biologically with his physique, with the drugs and everything. And we talked about earlier the retatrutide that a lot of these guys are taking. And I tell people it messes up your digestion. It messes up the body. It messes up a lot of things, causes nausea, and it's linked to a lot of blindness, a lot of other things they're finding out. And these younger guys are pushing this stuff because you don't get hungry on your diet. You can prep for a show and you don't get that severe, you compete, you don't get that severe hunger that's like, I'm so hungry, I don't know what to do. That makes it go away. So it makes things easier. But is it better for the physique? No, it's not, in my opinion. Right. Yeah. Leading into it, the face, like we talk about the face, the facial changes in just a couple years. I mean, he looks like a whole different person facial wise. I mean, the head's growing, everything. We're not talking about fluid. I get like I hold all my like I could be in complete shape, but if my weight's about 260, 270 where I'm at now, I'm always full in the face. If I get down to 245, my face gets lean. So a lot of people are like, you're taking all these stuff. I take TRT. I don't take cycles anymore. I did last summer for a little like photo shoot and stuff, but Nick has got. I think he needs to focus on his health. I think we don't know what his health is. Hey, is his blood work good and all that? No, I don't think so. I think it's impossible for it to be. So Nick, I think needs to really worry about his health and kind of look at his life. There's life after bodybuilding. I say it all the time. When people are coming up in bodybuilding in your 20s, you don't think about, hey, I'm going to be in my 30s one day. I'm going to have children. I don't know if do you have any kids or no? Okay. Awesome. Once you have kids, your whole outlook on life changes. Once I had my daughter, I have a daughter and son. Once I had my daughter, she was my firstborn. I'm like, what is this bodybuilding I'm doing? This is my life's completely different now. My priorities are different, and that's when I retired from bodybuilding. I did a few couple. Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, and like the legs, the whole veins stuff, and all that. He's got critiques about all that. It's gotten worse. It's gotten worse. His quads. Yeah. His quads looked way better at Pittsburgh. Now it's just like straight up and down, and no sweep at all. I think he needs to reevaluate his life, what he's doing with it, and there's life after bodybuilding. A lot of these guys, they never make it there because they pass away. We see it all the time. Someone else is passing away in their 30s, 20s. I mean, at young ages. Doesn't have to be like that, guys. There's a lot of life to live out there, and it's not just bodybuilding. And you see that once you open a new chapter in your life. And I think a lot of people, I don't know what the beliefs are, whatever, but God does certain things in your life for you to take different paths. And maybe there's a sign. Yeah, there's a sign. I think God's given him a sign like, hey, man, this you need to reevaluate everything. And yeah, 20 years now. Yeah. Mhm. Any better, and it's just going to get worse. And we've seen those guys over the years. They try and they keep coming back, and they get worse and worse and worse. And you got to know when your time from bodybuilding is to exit at this top level. When it's your time to go, you rather go out on top than on the bottom and looking horrible and be like, man, that's the last memory I have of this bodybuilder on the Olympia stage or this top level is this memory. And I think that I would tell Nick that at this point. I would say I can't help you get any better. That's what I would tell Nick.